Scope is one of the triple constraints of a project, one of the corners of the project triangle. It's basically what we're going to do, what we're trying to deliver, what we're trying to achieve. And it's incredibly important to understand this before we embark on any bit of work. Because if we don't know what it is we're meant to be doing, how do we know how long it's going to take, or how much it's going to cost, or the people or equipment or facilities we need to do it? It's very difficult. In fact, the Standish Group claim that the biggest reason projects struggle is poorly defined scope or requirements. So it is really important that we get it both agreed and documented. Now, I don't necessarily mean a massive 500-page document, although if that's appropriate for your project, by all means create one. The scoping document or scoping statement, it can just be a 2-line email, but it needs to be written down. However, regardless of its size, it needs to cover 2 things. Firstly, we write down what we're going to do, which probably seems pretty obvious. But the second thing that we must detail is what we're not going to do. Now, this might seem a little bit strange if you've not thought of it before, but these 2 elements, what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, are absolutely crucial. Because what we're doing right here at the beginning of a project, and as I've said before, if you can't do this for a whole project, try and do it for a smaller subphase. But right at the beginning, I'm beginning to set and manage expectations. We're starting to put boundaries around our project. What are we doing? What are we not doing? What is in scope? What is out of scope? Sometimes funders talk about outcomes and exclusions. So we get written down what we're going to do. Then anything that people could reasonably expect our project to deliver, but we're not going to do, for whatever reason, we don't have the time or the money or even the inclination, we explicitly write down, I'm not going to do that. It's out of scope. And the key term here is reasonableness. Otherwise, your list would go on forever. Example of things you might write down are nice to haves or bells and whistles that we don't have time or budget to achieve. Or maybe items that have been discussed, but we've decided not to continue with. For example, by the end of this week, I will complete the draft version of this training course, I'll review that tender document, and I'm going to book up all of the travel for the next month. But I'm not going to write the abstract for the conference. People know clearly what to expect. The reason for this is that expectations can be a nightmare to manage in any project. People have selective memories. Conversations are only partially remembered. And this isn't a criticism, but rather a reflection on human nature. Our problem becomes that if you're not careful, these expectations that people hold can adversely or negatively affect the perceived value or success of our project to stakeholders. This concept of in scope, out of scope is widely used in industry, and some of the bigger funders are now starting to look for it as well. But it's even a technique I used during my doctoral degree. I'd send an email to my supervisors after a meeting saying, thanks a lot for your time today. For our next meeting, I'm going to review the literature around Brinkerhoff's training evaluation model. I'll begin developing my interview schedule, but I'm not going to focus on the poster for the business school conference. For the next meeting, I could prove that I'd done exactly what we'd agreed I would do. It's very difficult to prove you've done something successfully if you've never agreed what that thing should be. As a concept, theoretically, this is very simple, but practically, it can be incredibly useful.